Welcome to Sport News with Ada at News 1575 in Australia. How Payne Haas used the full limits of his power and precision to lead the way in State of Origin. On Wednesday night, as he claimed his first State of Origin Man of the Match award, Payne Haas had one of those games that makes you think he could carry the whole world on his shoulders. A performance like this from Haas in Origin has been a long time coming. He has been marked for greatness since he was still a boy because his strengths have been so blindingly obvious. In a game made for big, strong men, Haas is the biggest and the strongest and can go the longest. That has been true since he was first propelled into a New South Wales jersey as a 19-year-old with just 10 NRL games to his name. That was a long time ago now. Of the Blues who played on Wednesday night, only Latrell Mitchell, Nathan Cleary and Angus Crichton made their Origin debuts before Haas. Ever since, he's been an automatic selection when fit, and even if he's not fit, like he was in the lead-up to this game as he battled a quad injury, he's still important to have around. Haas has played strong Origin matches before, in victory and defeat. His efforts for the Broncos are proof enough he is the apex predator in the front-row jungle, but this game was a showcase of his all-round quality. He is a superb athlete, enough so that NFL teams made a few calls about the big lad with the quick feet when Haas was still at school, but he is also a superb footballer in ways far subtler than the bash and crash of the middle third of the field. Let us start with the numbers because, as ever, they are mighty. Haas finished with 18 runs for 154 meters, 5 tackle busts, 3 offloads and 30 tackles without a miss. But they do not tell the full story of how Haas bent the game to his will. In a world consumed by fantasy sports, we can sometimes reduce a player to the level of their stats, even a player like Haas who routinely puts up high counts in every category you could ask for from a prop. There was the good sense and deft hands he showed in linking with Nathan Cleary in the lead up to the first try. There was the second effort that forced an error from Harry Grant that secured possession for the Blues, and on the ensuing set a probing run that caught a defender offside before Brian To'o's try. There were kick chases, where he led the way as the Blues piled numbers into Queensland kick returns to turn the screws on the Maroons' smaller back five. All told, his first stint was 30 minutes of righteous fury and finely honed power. It put the Blues on top, and despite a shaky moment or two, with a foundation like that, Queensland could not move them. It would have been astonishing in any case, and given he had, by Laurie Daly's estimation, about a quarter of a training session in the lead-up, it was astounding. His second stint was harder. The game was in the balance after Brian To'o's sin bin and some poor goal-kicking had left the door just ajar enough for Queensland to barge their way through if they were capable. But Haas never seems to slow, never seems to tire, never seems to feel the burn even as the heat rises. If what drives him could be converted into pure energy, oil prices would plummet. In the second half there were fewer rampaging runs, but he still dragged defenders with him. Early in the game, he was roaming a pass or two wide, shaking the stadium with his charges. Later on, it was all up the guts against the other big boys. Haas finished with more post-contact meters than some Queensland forwards had meters, further proof that no matter the kind of fight, he bows to nobody. Here were fewer busted tackles, but more off-ball movement. Haas runs as fast to get into position to be an extra decoy as some players do when they run the ball. It is an underrated facet of his game and proof he does not chase stats or gorge himself on easy meters. He attacks the unglamorous things of winning as much as he does the bone and blood battles. Some of the best yardage forwards in the league can be found wanting without the ball, but Haas's defense remained impeccable even as the game got sharper and harder, both one-on-one and in gang tackles to slow the Queensland ruck. All told, Haas is the total package when it comes to prop forward play. As though he was raised in a laboratory by a mad scientist who loved genetic engineering as much as they loved late footwork before the defensive line and high-speed forward collisions. As strong as Haas was, it was not a one-man show. Were it not for Haas, Zach Lomax would have been a fine choice for man of the match in his own right given he excelled in yardage, scored a double, helped set up the match-sealing try and spent time on both wings to cover for To'o's sin bin. His last 12 months on the flank, after initially being against the move, is proof home is where you find it. Apart from the time in the bin, To'o was also strong. Stephen Crichton had a blinder defensively, and Angus Crichton continued the kind of form that won him a Wally Lewis medal last year. But this was Haas's night. His moment to be borne home shoulder high if only someone had his strength, and those don't come along often enough. It's not that Haas isn't given his dues. He is, and he earns them as one of the only things Brisbane can rely on as their season skids out of control. It's that Haas has reached that special level of achievement, where what is expected is beyond what any other player can typically produce. A normal Payne Haas game can be the game of another man's life. So for a match of his to stand out, he must become truly superhuman. Only the best reach that level, where we grow accustomed to their wonder, and Haas is a wonder.